Okay, guys, so let's talk about a sensitive issue that many of you are asking me in my DMs to have an opinion about. And so this is my opinion. So this opinion involves a content creator by the name of Penwell. Penwell? I never knew how to pronounce that name. Penwell. You guys already know who Penwell is because many of you do follow him. It's not that I've never heard of him before. I have, and I have watched some of his content probably about 2 years ago. And to be honest with you, his content is not particularly my cup of tea. And of course, whenever a content is not my cup of tea, I have the tendency of scrolling. And if I keep seeing the content because I happened to click on it and the algorithm thought because I am not subscribed, it will keep serving me with the content. So, of course, on YouTube, there is a button called please do not recommend this channel, which I have clicked simply because I don't resonate with his content. And I know that there are people that resonate with it because every content on this platform does have an audience, irrespective of what the content is. For crying out loud, I am one of the people on this platform as a user who watches jiggers. Jigger. Go check what that is and then come back and like, ew, Clancy, sis. Yeah, that's what I watch. That's the point that I'm trying to make here is that there's audience for absolutely everything that a content creator puts out there as long as it is within the bounds of the YouTube policies that they do not get violated, right? Now, since I don't watch his content, I don't see much of his content, and I'm not on X either. And I did say a couple of videos ago that I quit X before it was called Twitter in 2020. So I don't see what's going on in there because I have no interest in what's going on. And by the sound of what Penwell has said, it comes as no surprise to me because that's the nature of Twitter, unfortunately, with some Twitteratis. I don't know what they are called these days since it's X. So you guys already know that there's a 7-year-old girl, who is in a very horrible predicament where she allegedly been violated, and nobody knows who is the perpetrator, and hence the police needs to obtain some specimen from people of interest, whether that is the principal of Bergview College or the security of that college or somebody in the family or whatever the case is. And the principal that actually, I believe, caused all the hashtag justice for Twekwe had refused to um, hand over his specimen so that he could be ruled out as a person of interest. So, of course, that sparked a lot of anger, myself included. I was like, no, this is not acceptable. Every person that maybe a person of interest needs to submit their specimen so that they can be ruled out. I mean, I do believe that if you are accused of a serious crime, it is your responsibility as the person that is looked at to go clear your name. Because if you don't want to clear your name, the question therefore will be, what are you hiding? It doesn't matter what race you are. What are you hiding? Why are you running away? So now the situation therefore we heard over the weekend the minister of police blatantly allegedly lying to South Africans that the principal of Bergville College had submitted his specimen and the specimen came back, the result was negative. So, of course, South Africans were like, okay, cool, but we still have questions about why, in the first place, did he refuse to submit his specimen if he knew that he's in the clear? So people then were like, there's more than meets the eye here. Of course, we already seen some people. I've seen them on TikTok. I've seen them on Facebook, basically defending the principle. I mean, so much so that even AfroForum came in. And I think at the later stage they did withdraw. I don't know why. I think they withdrew because the minister came out and said, well, he's ruled out. And so there was no point in representing him anymore. I don't know. But here comes the situation. I've seen some grotesque men. Some of them are college going students. One of them, a law student, who actually said with his dirty fingers and vile mouth that a 7-year-old deserved it because she was wearing a short skirt. This is a whole law student doing second year, meaning that in his first year and second year, he has attended criminal law lectures. At least now he should know what the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977 says about this particular crime. But no, he still believes that when a woman and a child wearing a short skirt, they invited it. What kind of a rotten society do we have is the question I'm asking. And then I'm asking more further questions now that Penwell, who portrays himself to be a voice of reason, from what I've seen in his videos in the past, he tries to be a voice of reason. He tries to tap into the intellectual side of people. Like I said, I don't know, maybe it's my intuitions or maybe Igazi. You know, sometimes when the vibe is not vibing, and I am very quick with vibes. I think maybe I did not vibe with him at all. And now he apparently posted on his X regarding Kwekwe. Actually, immediately the Minister of Police cleared Mr. Jaco Peterser. That's when Penwell wrote a tweet. I'm not even going to give it airtime. I'm not going to give this tweet an airtime. I'm also not going to give his apology airtime either. If you are interested, go check it out in his page if those things are still there. But from what I am hearing from the DMs I've been getting, he said Kwekwe's credibility is questionable. And yet, when I was listening to Kwekwe's mother on a podcast, doctors, I'm talking science here, proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Kwekwe, the 7-year-old little girl, has been violated both in the front and back, and several times. So, what credibility are you talking about, sir? Are you listening, or maybe you want to be seen to know things, but you're not listening to understand what's being said? Are you jumping? I don't know what his issue is. I really don't. But I also found out that he's a father of 7 children. I mean, your job as a father is to believe your child. Whether your child is lying, that is for you to investigate so that you do not jump into conclusion. I think fatherhood should have trained you to that point that when a 7-year-old of another man or another parent says that I was drugged, and then I woke up and I am feeling pain here and here, what's there to question? What is there to question? Because if the child is lying, that's when you or your fatherly instincts sit your child down and tell them about morality and immorality. And part of the immorality is lying, and the consequences of lying could lead here. And then you will grow up with those consequences of somebody having paid because you lied on their name. but to come onto a public platform like X and actually questioning the 7-year-old child's credibility, it is sickening to my guts that you are a father of 7 children. I don't know if you live with them or you don't. Well, with the culture of some fathers in this country, in most cases, I would say you're not. I would say you're not. I could be wrong. Because no father talks like you. You are reckless. You lack passion. You lack empathy. You lack understanding. And definitely you lack intelligence. Because no intelligent man, whether you're a father or not, would question the credibility of a child who's been hurt. Evidently, because the medical reports say so. But no, you are jumping because the minister lied to you because you are gullible, and then you run with that lie. And then apparently he apologized, and from the sound of the apology, it is patronizing. It's patronizing. We should protect our children. Yes, you should protect our children. That's the first thing you should have done and said. You know, there are pseudo-intellects or pseudo-intellectuals out there. I think they're the most dangerous ones in our society. The most dangerous ones in our society. Wow. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. And I'm sorry. I cannot accept that apology. Oiko doesn't deserve to be violated over and over and over and over again by another man. That's who you are, sir. You are dangerous to children. You are dangerous to children. I hope you understand that. I don't know, guys. Those are my opinions regarding this matter. So the second matter that seems to be hot on its heels is the JSC, the Judiciary Commission Service, or whatever it is, the ones that recommend judges or candidates to be appointed as judges to the president. So apparently, there has been interviews for judges in this country. I don't know what judges are retiring or whatever the case might be, but there's been interviews and they found the best candidate. And the best candidate happens to be a Zimbabwean lawyer. Okay, I have no issues with best candidates getting recommended for the bench or for any job for that matter. But let's leave that aside and we'll come back to it. Right now, the biggest contention bone in South Africa and in South Africans' mouth, and some of this is something that we've been talking about forever. It's just that it got a little bit more intense in the past 3, 4, 5 years, even though it's always been intense, but it got more intense in the past 5 years, let's put it that way. And some political parties even ran their campaigns, and they are in parliament today because they were listening to South Africans, and they said they were going to go into parliament and propose bills that are going to be passed into laws so that South Africans are appeased, and then we are able to move on as a nation in building our nation. And that is what? Illegal foreigners and foreigners as a whole. So we have no issues with people that are in South Africa legally. We have no issues with that. As a matter of fact, you are welcome to South Africa if you are here legally. The issue that we are having as South Africans are illegal foreign nationals, some of whom have rendered South Africans unemployable. Unemployable not because they are incapable, but because of the labor laws of the country that protects workers in this country. And so some nefarious and unscrupulous business owners, yes, even you who has a foreign national cleaning your house, I'm talking to you, black woman, black man, black couple, black husband and wife, your children are looked after by a foreign national. Your house is cleaned and taken care of by a foreign national. So don't even think about it. You know why y'all all doing this, unscrupulous South Africans? Because you are exploiting them. Because with a South African, the first thing that is put on the table when you employ them is a minimum wage, is by law, and you don't want to pay it. Whether that person is a domestic worker, a gardener, or a landscaper, or whatever it is, as long as they are employed in South Africa, minimum wage is the starting point. And y'all don't want to pay that. So as a result, South Africans, particularly young South Africans, are sitting at home right now, waiting for something that's not going to happen because I'm talking to you, South African, who has blocked them. And then you wonder, and this is not an excuse, and I do not condone this. The reason why we have so much high crimes in our country, and then you become a victim of it, do you know if you are a business owner or a house owner and you do not employ a South African in your house or in your business, and then they hijack you and unalive you, do you understand how you contributed to that? I think we need to be honest in our discussions. I am all for discussions, guys. This is how you solve issues, discussing them. So if you are going to employ somebody else from somewhere else, instead of employing people in your own country so that you reduce crime, especially heinous crimes that will affect you at the end of the day. You know, every time when I am at the robots and I see those boys dancing with crates, I always give them something, because you know what? If you give them that 10 Rand or 5 Rand or 20 Rand or 100 Rand or whatever it is that you give them, that money is enough to keep them away from turning into hijackers on that very same spot. When you look at them and you get annoyed, you are going to turn them. And I'm not saying that it's excusable, but because they are looking at the amount of money they are making for performing for you, and you in your car sitting in your ivory tower, and then you get annoyed by them, maybe they will say, this is not working. But yeah, this car, I mean, I know people who know people that needs cars like this to be sold, and they make far more than that. And they know in order to get your car, they need to use force. We are the contributors of most of our problems in this country. Having said that, South Africans have been screaming on top of their lungs, guys, why are we looked over? Why Chicken Licken doesn't hire South Africans? Why Steers doesn't hire South Africans? Why Spur doesn't hire South Africans? I know I'm just touching on the hospitality industry, but I am touching on everybody that is not employing South Africans. So now we have a Zimbabwean lady. Clearly, she's qualified. She's got an LLB degree. She's been practicing and she's been interviewed. And it turns out that she is the best candidate. Is it the right time, though, for her to be recommended? Is it the right time for the president to appoint her as the judge? It's not. Because if this happens, number one, the politicians that interviewed her and made recommendations, and now JSE is making those recommendations. Is it JSE or JSC? Now they're making those recommendations to the president to confirm her appointment. So clearly, those politicians, some of whom the usual suspects who want foreigners in this country, Julius Malema. And then in that interview, there were South African candidates. Most of them, I think they were white. And we all know how Julius Malema feels about white people, right? So are you going to sacrifice South Africans because of the color of their skin over somebody that might, in fact, not even a question of might, it's going to be a situation that is going to get us talking again, screaming and fighting and making all these things that Julius Malema would deny. But the question is, why are we handing such a job to politicians, especially in South Africa, where corruption perpetuated mostly by politicians? They sit and interview judges. Some of these so-called interviewers or panel of interviewers, they've never seen a door of a lecture hall. For them to understand the law, the bench, the constitution. But they're sitting there and questioning people with degrees in this field. What kind of nonsense are we running in this country? Because Julius Malema is tone deaf when it comes to foreign nationals. Tone deaf. And now you're going to be taking this recommendation to a more tone-deaf person who is actually going to make that appointment because he is so detached to the realities of the South African people. Not only detached, but totally hates South Africans. I'm talking about Cyril Ramaphosa here. He's going to make that appointment. And we're all going to be up in arms again. Read the room. This is not the right time. Right candidate, I have no issues with that. But the wrong time to appoint her as the judge in this country. Can we get a South African? Because amongst those candidates, there is definitely a South African that was also one of the best. Let's appoint that person so that South Africans are appeased and we move forward. Can we do that? Come on. Why every time must we remind these people? Why are they even involved in this process? Because let's talk about judges in Zimbabwe. I'm not talking about judges in Zimbabwe. In most cases, when they rule, and it happens that the person or people or organization before them are of the ruling party, guess how they rule? Even when ZANU-PF is wrong, they will rule in favor of ZANU-PF. So now, that's the nature. And now you are bringing somebody who's not a South African, who don't know the South African way of life, constitutionality, and then Julius Malema, let's say he happens to do something that is going to lead him right in front of this judge that he made recommendations for appointment. Will she not be grateful that she is on the bench because of him and then rules in his favor, and yet he could have been wrong? And that is why he's in her court? Because that's how they rule. We see these things. We read about them. So, what is wrong? What is wrong, guys? I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't get it. You know what South Africans are crying about. You know. The first thing you should have said, ma'am, You are one of our best candidates, but unfortunately, we cannot recommend you for appointment because South Africans out there, this is the discussion that they are having. Do you understand? I don't have a problem with her. I don't even know her. But I know what South Africans want, and they don't want this. And I think South Africans have begun to talk about this recommendation. And they are not happy with this recommendation. But I can tell you, as day will exist tomorrow, that Ramaphosa will confirm this appointment. Because he's tone deaf, which is also accompanied by hate for South Africans. This is infuriating. This has everything to do with race. Everything to do, because I was watching those interviews and I saw how harsh, especially Julius Malema, was on the white candidates. Extremely harsh. Extremely harsh. And how soft he was with this recommendation now. The time is not right. I don't have an issue with her. Please understand what I'm saying. She's definitely a good candidate. I listen. She's smart. She gets it. But is it the right time in South Africa to appoint a foreign national, especially one of the countries that South Africans have an issue with, Zimbabwe? You might as well go to Lagos and bring us a Nigerian judge as well. Why do you like us talking all the time? When are you going to give us a break? Anyway, South Africans, those are my opinions regarding these two questions or two issues you guys have been asking me about. Yeah, people sometimes they go to my Instagram DMs and leave a DM there. I am Clantis_Dumagude if you want to follow me there. I do crazy stuff there. When you go there, it's not what I talk about here. When I say crazy, I mean insane stuff there. You would be like, is this Clantis type of situation? You might even cringe watching my content on my Instagram, but it is what it is. That's the other side of me. Yeah, I have no issues with you guys asking questions and voicing my opinions on some of these things. At the end of the day, I'm entitled to these opinions. Mr. Penwell, stop it, sir. You need to stop it. When you feel like your fingers wants to say something, rather uishaya, pang, shaya, and keep quiet. Especially when it involves a woman and a child. Just don't make comments on these two things. Don't. You're not good at it. Other than that, guys, those are my thoughts. And please do leave me a like, share, and also subscribe. And we'll see each other next time with a new video. Goodbye.